Crockett and Tubbs are back. All day on Deja Vu. You could win a trip to Miami. Or Season 1 of Miami Vice on DVD. Courtesy of Universal Home Entertainment Canada. One of TV's most powerful police dramas of all time. Spot the clue word, then log on to Canada.com. Search word Universal.
Got it, bud.
You're watching the Miami Vice Marathon on Deja Vu. Also look for the DVD of Miami Vice Season 1 in stores February 8th.
Yes, Canada.com really did exist. And yes, I really did sign up for those sweepstakes. Welcome to Vice and Easy. We're actually going to be going through episode 3 entitled Cool Running. And it was actually before the movie Cool Runnings. Cool Running, as I discovered via Google, is kind of a way to say goodbye, but mostly it kind of means like safe travels, safe passage, like take care of yourself. So I thought that was cool. Per IMDb, the description for this episode, Crockett and Tubbs must enlist the help of an unreliable petty thief to bust a drug operation run by a trio of homicidal Jamaicans. And written by Joel Surnow. Very excited for that. I was a huge fan of 24 when I was in grade 8. So much so that I actually wrote... This is so dorky. I wrote my end of year project. And basically, we were in IB Light. Okay, so IB stands for International Baccalaureate, but our school was trying to prep us to go into an International Baccalaureate high school. And so our final project, we had to relate something to this phrase homo faber, which is man making. Do not ask me how I related 24 to this idea of like how something is made. Maybe I went through like production. I wish I could find a copy of this final project. If I do find it, 100% I will share with you. Not that I'm sure that there are a ton of Miami Vice 24 fan crossovers. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe there's lots of me. But yeah, so that's my little fun fact about Joel Surnow and 24. I don't really think he's doing much now. I think he just took that 24 syndication, that 24 money and retired. So good for him. Now, we open with this episode with Crockett and Tubbs doing undercover surveillance work in a white, dingy, I don't want to say creeper van, but a white, dingy van. And my note is, where is Zito and Switek? This is their bread and butter. They're the ones that do the unglamorous surveillance, so to speak. I know that's not the right way to put it, but, Crockett and Tubbs are doing the undercover long game. Zito and Switek are doing, more burglary, homicide. I guess to be fair, they're focused more on like the petty counterfeit stuff that we talked about in the last episode with the counter and Lester and the playmate, which actually we'll get to. So I guess maybe Crockett and Tubbs are kind of taking this over. So basically, Tubbs is complaining that he had a hot day tonight that he had to pass up because Crockett wanted to play Dudley Do-Right. Canadian representation is very important to me, so I appreciate that. So they just kind of think it's just going to be like a minor surveillance thing, but they're watching this deal go down. The deal goes bust and shots are fired. Crockett and Tubbs shoot back. The bad guys kick open the back door of their van and shoot at Crockett and Tubbs. Crockett and Tubbs end up crashing their white panel van into a pile of dirt. We cut to the early morning. Crockett and Tubbs look so handsome. I took a lot of pictures. Crockett's in turquoise. I don't know how they look this good at 7 a.m, being up all night, but they look great. They are a little banged up, and you'll see later on in the episode, Crockett has, I don't want to say like a scrape, but you can see on the side of his face. Initially when I was watching this, I just thought everybody was high out of their minds, as you'll see when you get to Jake and Bobby and them. But I think maybe there was an accident or something with the stunt. I don't know. This is just me hypothesizing, but I did have earlier notes where I was kind of like, oh, damn, they must have gone on some coke bender. It's like, oh, no, maybe they got injured in that stunt. So, Rodriguez ends up leaving them, tells them to go home, and laments that this was supposed to be a small deal, and talks about the number of drug ripoffs in this next clip.
Real all-star season for drug ripoffs. 10 in the last 3 weeks, 7 by the same group.
What do we know about these guys, huh?
Hey, not now, will you please, huh? Let's take a walk. They come well prepared. In their arms, KG-99 machine pistols, and they're not in the habit of leaving witnesses.
Well, we gave Homicide the license number.
Oh.
Where did Switek and Zito get a line on this deal?
They put a wiretap on the guys that got shot. Look, go home, you guys, huh? Get some rest. I mean it.
Remember the KG99 machine pistols? Those come up later. Just putting that plant in there. Cut to Crockett is having a boat party. This actually, I really like the setup of the scene. They all look beautiful. It's at night. They have some like funky reggae music playing. Super cool party. There's lobster that they're getting ready to prepare. And two new guys and their girls are talking with Crockett, Tubbs, their dates, Gina. I think maybe Gina is Crockett's date. I didn't see Crockett with another girl, but who knows? Who can keep track of those crazy kids? And so Jake and Bobby were talking about seeing a bailiff when they were undercover with the dealer, and the bailiff kind of made, I was going to say a pass, but like kind of, either waved to them or winked to them. I forget exactly what they're talking about. And they kind of asked Crockett, like, what would they do in that situation? So Crockett tends to do this where he'll go on these monologues. They're not so much rants, but they're just, kind of like his thought process of what he would do in a situation, but paired with that Southern drawl. So, Don Johnson himself is from Missouri, but I do not know where this accent comes from. But every time he goes on one of these rants for more than 3 seconds, this is what I hear. Because I kid you not, I watched that scene like 5 times to try to understand what Crockett was trying to insinuate. No idea. Just Static and Farmer Fran just play in the back of my head when he's talking. What I was able to gather after his like little monologue is that they're going to have a bet going of who can process the most bus. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind between Crockett and Jake and Bobby. Keep that in mind. So Crockett and Tubbs are kind of playing around talking about this lobster. And fortunately, as Tubbs is kind of playing around with the lobster, it drops in the ocean. I took a picture of it. I called the lobster Pinchy. I thought that was funny. And Crockett yells at him that it cost $28.95, which in today's dollars would be $73.20 for one lobster. So that must have been a very heavy, high quality, again, a vegetarian, not the best person to ask about lobster pricing, but that is a lot of money. So no wonder Crockett's pissed. That was their dinner. So the next scene, they're back at the fake surveillance store where Zito and Switek are kind of setting up. And this is where we meet Noogie. I believe his first name is Lamont, and I'm going to play a clip. This is what you're going to be subjected to the entire episode of how loud this man talks.
All right, yeah, buddy. All right, what's up, y'all? Daytona, 365 party car, rocket to the moon. I've got the look you want to know better. I've got the glasses that's all together. Let me show you what I got, my man. I got Dunhill, all right? I got Runnin, all right? I got Corora. These glasses are real good. There's glare resistance, water resistance, contender tough to Cassie, and a lot less dangerous to wear.
Sunglasses? That's it? I thought you said when you phoned we was gonna do some business.
Yo, man, you better be glad I'm a Pisces and don't offend easy. Outside, I have a car. That car has a trunk. You dig music, man? I got Duran Duran, front runner of fashion pop. I got Blondie. I got Toots and the Crazy Maytals. I got those tapes and more. I guess you need something to play with them. How about 30 Technics M245s? What's wrong, baby? You don't like music? How about VCR? I got one attached in the trunk that represents 50 back at the warehouse. What's that, termites, man?
Now, when Noogie says termites, he hears that kind of crackling sound because he just heard the camera, he's about to get busted. Ends up getting busted, and then they go back to the precinct. And my note on this is big cocaine energy. So this is Jake and Bobby talking with Crockett, and I'll let you see for yourselves.
You guys okay? Yeah. Everything's cool.
And you let him get away? Guys, where's your sense of initiative, imagination, huh?
Yeah. Hey, can you guys do a little homework for me?
No way, champ. We got a business appointment.
Who's your backup?
There's no money involved, just a preliminary.
Oh, by the way, Crockett, I made a reservation in my checking account this morning.
Yeah, well, it better be a withdrawal.
That That is a lot of energy at once. Yeah, my notes are just like cocaine, high AF. Oh my. So again, keep that in mind that they do not want backup and that this is quote unquote just a preliminary and there's no money involved. Tubbs then asked Trudy back at the precinct to do a little bit of recon on Desmond Maxwell, and her computer draws a blank. Then we cut to Sonny and Gina playing cute, making out in the hallway. I had to take a gif of this, and my notes are just crazy person ramblings because I'm so embarrassed for Gina at this moment. Having your coworker hand your boyfriend / coworker his divorce papers from his wife. I could not handle this. I'm just so cringed and like, I just feel so bad for Gina, but she knows that this is a bad idea. Oh my God. I just can't, especially as a woman. Like, their outfits are great. That's my other note. Look at the picture in the gallery. I made a gif of it too. Beautiful. Everyone looks beautiful. Oh my God. I can't with this. I need to shake this off. Now that we're back in the precinct and I'm a little less irritated by Gina's life decisions, we get more of Noogie's full max, full speed. And I also talk quite fast and talk quite loud, so this kind of makes me think of myself. But here's another clip.
What you doing in here?
All right, little comic relief. So after he's complaining about being manhandled, Crockett and Tubbs sit him down and they kind of get distracted talking to Rodriguez about the ballistics report. Noogie ends up grabbing a sheet of paper. We don't really see what's on this piece of paper, but it kind of helps us figure out that he knows that they want information on Desmond Maxwell. He doesn't want to go to jail, so he proposes this.
Yeah. Let's hear it. Well, I've been doing some thinking. I'm much too young and too fine to do any more time. So I'm gonna do you fellas a favor.
Like what? Put a sock in your mouth?
Murph, I love it. But seriously, fellas, I couldn't help overhearing on the radio earlier about a couple of Colombians that got bumped this morning. Now, I might be able to do something for you on that one.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, I don't know who the shooters were, but a homeboy of mine set up the deal. A fella by the name of Desmond Maxwell. Ring a bell? So you fellas want to do business together or what?
Spoiler alert, Noogie is not as close with Desmond Maxwell as he makes it seem, but it kind of leads into this episode and takes on a little bit of a wild ride. So the next clip, they go down to Jamaica Town, and I have to play this clip because it's so 80s.
Fella by the name of Desmond Maxwell, a Jamaican dude.
What's in it for me?
Well, if you come across anything, $100 on a brand new VCR.
Front load?
And you know that, homeboy.
All right.
Take care of that for me.
How much more of this hot comedy we gonna put up with this dude, huh?
Well, Jamaica Town's only 10 blocks square. Give me a break, man. I will serve no swine before his time. Yo, see that dude over there, man? My man makes a living burning down cleaners and whatnot. Yo, Ramon. Hey, dog, people jealous of the Noog, man. What's up, homeboy? How you feel, man? My man makes a living selling stolen gravity boots. Can you get with that?
Hey, Lamont, spare us the Fortune 500 of the sleazoid set, will you?
Yo, man, I'm getting a little rusty around the edges. I need a little pick-me-up. And I got a friend live right around the corner.
You wanna get high?
Well, you know, they'll serve the purpose. You understand what I'm saying?
So, little squirrel. We don't work our informants that way. You got it?
I will forget I said anything, man.
Great.
That was a long clip, but I want to go back and talk about some of the very 80s references that some of our younger listeners might not know about. So front-loading VCRs, I believe that's what I grew up with, was the front-loading VCR that has a slot in the front. You just push it in. But there were also, I think, top-loading VCRs is probably what they're called, where you lift it up and it kind of, like the glass opens on a diagonal and you put the tape in there. I believe that's what it was. That's what I saw. A boy I dated in grade 8 had a VCR rewinder that was like that. That was top loading. And then gravity boots they were these boots that you would wear, and then you'd hook yourself up to a bar that hung from your ceiling. I believe it was 2 bars, and you kind of hung the top of your boots. You like locked your boots in and you hung upside down to increase blood flow, to reduce back pain. The last time I saw this in pop culture was in American Gigolo, where Richard Gere's character has a pair of them. And he looked great, so maybe they do work. But I've tried those not the same thing, but I've tried, like, I put my legs up on the wall sometimes after work, after I bartend, to kind of get the blood flow, and they do help. But I've tried those back stretchers where you kind of just suspend upside down, and it just gives you a lot of pressure in the head. It's not really a great experience. So I'm pretty sure that's why gravity boots are no more. Back to the scene. Noogie makes a big tantrum, falls on the ground. But they do find info about where Desmond Maxwell hangs out, and he plays dominoes, I believe, every Tuesday at this bar. I did take a picture once we transitioned to the bar scene, because there's this guy, I swear to God, was Jesse L. Martin from the first couple seasons of Law & Order. It is not. I'm sorry.
I know we all look alike, you southern crackers.
Yeah. So take a look at the gallery. It really does look like Jesse L. Martin for a second. But back to the scene. So they're at this really cool kind of, I don't want to say it's like a dive bar. It's kind of just like a live music, just a bar. Music's going on. They have a band playing Jammin' by Bob Marley and the Wailers. Lots of cute outfits that I tried to clip and put on the gallery. Tubbs also looks super handsome. I took a picture of this. He's wearing 2 different shades of blue, but they don't clash with each other. And then him and Crockett are talking about the divorce. But guess who else is there? Obviously Noogie. And guess who needs to borrow $60? Noogie. Guess how much $60 in 1984 is worth now? $161 in 2022. So keep that in mind. He's not just asking for a couple bucks. He's asking for $161. So again, kind of Crockett and Tubbs are talking about the divorce, and that Caroline wants to meet up for lunch and kind of go with her lawyer and go over things with Crockett. And, as they're talking, they kind of notice that, hey, guess who's not there anymore? So yes, Noogie has dipped. Once again, he does that kind of like fall to the ground thing. So they get him. And guess what? He doesn't actually know Desmond Maxwell. He just knew that they wanted intel on Desmond Maxwell, and he didn't want to go to prison. Do they put him in the trunk was my question, and the answer is yes. So again, newer Ferraris, I believe so. Obviously, I'm not an expert. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing a podcast from my bathroom/closet. Thank you very much. But the engine typically is located where the trunk is, and then the front usually has like storage. But again, this was the Spider. This was a front engine Ferrari. I think that's how you quantify it as a front loading VCRs, front engine Ferraris, all about the front in the 80s, all about the front, not the back. Speaking of the front, you have to check out the front of this building that Crockett and Caroline are meeting for lunch. It is, I mentioned like my Cocaine Palace, how I love and how I admire this kind of energy in this architecture. I'd give this like an 8 out of 10. If it had more pastels and more glass blocks, it would be a 10 out of 10 because it is wild. It's similar to the building maybe it's the same building. It's similar to the building in Heart of Darkness in episode 2, the one we just covered, where it kind of has like a zigzag pattern. Super cool. Again, this is very much the 80s. So they're sitting down to lunch. There's a maitre d'. Caroline is a very beautiful woman. Very beautiful woman. And I'm assuming when filming, her character is supposed to be around 34. She herself, I'm assuming, is 34, 35. They style her that she looks so matronly. And I understand that styling has come a long way and that 50-year-olds do not look like the Golden Girls anymore. But this is what happened in the 80s. Like once you pass 30, it's just like, all right, you're a bona fide, you're a mom. Can't be cute. Can't be stylish. She's a very pretty woman, and they do her no service by styling her. I would love to see her styled today and how she would look. I think she would just look a lot more youthful and vibrant because she really isn't a dour character. She's not a sad character. She has a lot of moxie and she stands up for herself. She should not be styled like this. That is my grip. The men look great. The men look super stylish and fashion forward. Women, except for Trudy and Gina, not so much. Not so much. Well, the reason they're meeting for lunch, sorry, I keep going off on tangents about the fashion. Caroline wants to move back to Atlanta. Also, they also say up in Atlanta, speaking about prison later on this episode, and you keep forgetting, oh yeah, Miami is south of Atlanta, like far south. So it is just kind of funny because I would never have thought of Atlanta as north because I always lived above Atlanta. Or I guess now I'm similar latitude. And speaking of Atlanta, Crockett's not going to go for it. He's going to fight it, storms out of the restaurant when the maitre d' stops him, and listen to how Crockett answers the phone.
Oh, Mr. Crockett.
Crockett. Yeah, Tubbs.
No hi, no how are you, no hi, who is this? Just Crockett. All right, he's getting straight down to business. However, Tubbs is not calling him with good news. He's calling him because Jake and Bobby got ambushed on this quote-unquote just preliminary deal that they were going on. And Jake is in the hospital. Bobby died at the scene. So we see Crockett pull up in... I'm not trying to make fun of the ambush. He just parks right in the middle of the street, right next to the crime scene. And like, I know he's supposed to be undercover. So I'm like, this is just, I don't know. A lot of things always conflict with me because I'm like, that's not really like a low key car. And you're pulling up to a crime scene and you're showing that you're involved with the crime scene on the other side, that you're not really a criminal like, it's just, I'm trying to let go of the expectation of reality and enjoy it. Because yeah, like when you dissect a little too much, it kind of takes the fun out of this. The whole point is that now they're going to get the ball rolling. Now they have to really catch these guys. Like we talked about at the beginning, the assailants had machine pistols. So we can deduce it's the same guys that they've been following earlier. There is a tape I'm going to play for you because Bobby tried to identify them before he died. Speaking of bad accents, this is maybe not as good as the pilot, but it's there. Here's the tape.
Hey, brother, what it is? What it is, man?
Jamaican.
Hey, you alone? Just me, man. Got the cash? When do we get to see the dope?
Where the hell's the backup?
We make the deal
Didn't
today.
request any. It's supposed to be an introduction.
Right now?
You're gonna try and pop them.
Why?
Right here, man. Take a look. Miami Vice, you're under arrest.
They're out there all alone. Why are they playing gunslinger?
Put your hands on the bench right now, man. Jake, look out!
And it took me a couple of rewatches to figure out, like, I know Crockett doesn't say anything. Usually Crockett is the first one to pipe up, explain his case. He doesn't really do things out of malice. He's pretty by the book. And you can see when Rodriguez is like, why are they out there alone? Why don't they have backup? Why are they playing gunslinger? Crockett knows that there was, a little talk of a bet and there was a little friendly competition and that everything really got messed up. So the other audio I'm going to play for you guys in a little bit is once it gets cleaned up. There's no point playing it now. It just kind of sounds busted. So Lester, our favorite guy who's really good at wiring people, as we learned in Heart of Darkness, he's going to try to clean up the audio. And then Trudy comes in with some news that Desmond and Noogie both did time together. Again, this is where she says, up in Atlanta. And that's the same thing. This is the second Atlanta mention of the episode. And yeah, going up north, going back up north to Atlanta always blows my mind. So Noogie's getting a little bit nervous. So they go to interrogate him. I obviously took a picture of this. It is Crockett rolling the cigarette across his tongue. When I first was doing the notes on this, I was like 100% cocaine in there. He's going to rub it on his gums. I take that back. With unfiltered cigarettes, which I have not smoked since high school, apparently you do kind of wet the tip so you're not getting the little bits of tobacco in your mouth, which I did not do. That's probably why I stopped trying to smoke them. There was this place downtown by my gym that used to sell definitely expired Marlboros that fell off the back of a truck, and they were unfiltered Marlboro Reds. And I thought I'd be cool and smoke them. I don't even know how many I got through, but I definitely vividly remember them at the time. So he's licking the cigarette to kind of like make sure, because to keep everything in place so it doesn't, none of the little tobacco flakes, little tobacco bits get on your lips, because that's kind of gross. So I put that back because I have heard people who stuff cocaine into the recessed filters of parliaments. I don't know how that works. If you know, please reach out, sign my DMs, explain to me. But that's what I thought at first, so I take that back. I did take a gif of it though, so it's kind of a cool gif of him like rolling the cigarette on his tongue. So Crockett persuades Noogie to set up a drug deal between them and Desmond to really get the ball rolling. Noogie's not that excited. No, Noogie's not that excited for that. Oop, I am actually making an edit on my previous note because the next scene they're going out to a club with gorgeous outfits, and this is the club they're jamming at. I do apologize. I got my notes wrong. And there's a woman with a beautiful yellow dress. I believe I took a picture of it. You can see in the gallery. And they finally meet Desmond. Desmond is a very tall man. I don't think that Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas themselves were that tall, and Noogie doesn't seem tall as well. And when famous people say they're 6 feet, they're really like 5'8", 5'7". I've only met a few famous people working in the bars. All of the men were definitely below 5'7". I've never met a famous person or a famous man over 5'7". I know they exist. I don't think Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas are that short, but I want to say maybe like 5'9". So this Desmond Maxwell character is at least like 6'3", or maybe the angle is just shot in a way that makes him look like a statue of a man, because this is a very scary man. One interesting note that maybe it was like a retcon thing: Sonny's undercover name, he introduces himself as Sonny Bates, not Sonny Burnett, Sonny Bates. That's an interesting one. I don't know if that was just a writer goof or it comes back in like season 5, because season 5 and season 4 I know is when his undercover life and his personal life kind of overlap. So Sonny Bates. Rico wants to do a deal for $10,000 worth of cocaine. Another atrocious Jamaican accent. I do not know. Philip Michael Thomas himself grew up, I believe, in Ohio and then Riverside, California. So I don't put this on him, but they could have brought someone in for like accent training or coaching, because this is so cringy. And again, I'm a white girl who grew up in Toronto, but I could have brought 5 white guys who used to sit in the auditorium during assemblies and go, brap, brap, and they probably would have been able to do a better Jamaican accent than this. So I'm not faulting him, but I do not know how this slipped out. Like, this also takes place in Miami. Like, you'd think that there'd be a little bit more research and a little bit more editing done to make this sound perfect. So they want to do a $10,000 coke deal. Desmond says no, he doesn't do deals with strangers. Then Tubbs kind of brings out, hey, you did time with Noogie, Noogie. And then Tubbs also tries to play that they have a Montego Bay connection. Tried to actually play that he's actually from Jamaica, which, again, if this was true, this would absolutely fall through the cracks right away, because that accent is so fake. So they do kind of agree to do a deal. This is where Tubbs and Crockett disagree. Sonny gives Desmond Noogie's number. Tubbs instantly calls him out and warns him of the danger, that he's basically putting Noogie in danger, and that if they find out that Noogie is doing deal with an undercover cop, it's a death sentence for Noogie, basically. And when Crockett's told that he's cutting corners by Tubbs, of course, he retaliates and throws it back in Tubbs' face. And I was like, there's a little bit of a difference. Putting a witness's or an informant's life in grave danger versus carrying out a vigilante mission to avenge your fallen brother, I would be more like Tubbs. I think I relate more to Tubbs in that, whereas Sonny is always kind of praising himself by being by the book and being a good cop and, playing by the rules, whereas Tubbs openly has broken the rules, but not at the expense of witnesses or informants. And they do talk about that a little bit in the pilot, that basically how many guys were following this guy, and that they announced in court that he was an informant and worked with the cops. Again, instant death sentence. So, all right. Aside from that, Crockett says that he's going to go there and that he'll be there and that he'll set up 3 levels of surveillance and backup units. I crossed out 3 layers, so I hope I'm right on this. And I do appreciate that Crockett and Tubbs kind of hold each other accountable and make sure that they follow the rules, and that it's basically both of them kind of play off each other, and it's different levels of consciousness and morals. Neither one of them is immoral, but it's just kind of nice to have someone, remind you of the rules and remind you to play by the rules. So they're driving Noogie home, and Homicide calls in and says they got the shooters. Then we cut to the interrogation room. Speaking of bad cops, so we see a guy sitting down, busted face. The makeup is really bad. Again, maybe because I'm watching this with, on Blu-ray and not even HD TV. And again, I know this was filmed in 1983, but the makeup looked really bad and cakey, and they did not match his skin tone. So again, that has come a long way since 1983, 1984. Not trying to hold them accountable. They did great stuff with the makeup on Miami Vice. But yeah, this kind of it took me out of the scene. I'm like, oh, it looks a little cheap. And the guy they're interrogating denies the murder. So they found the van abandoned while he's icing his face. Crockett is pissed. Also question, why is there a court reporter in an interrogation room? Not sure how this works. But a court reporter, maybe she's just, maybe she's not a court reporter, she's a stenographer. There might be a difference between that. I know court reporters have that fancy keyboard and they have to, you basically omit all the vowels. And a stenographer is the one with the mask. And I think stenographers now also use the same keyboard. So maybe that's it. She's not actually a court reporter. She's a stenographer and she's trying to keep minutes or basically keep notes of the interrogation. And also, so you're just beating up witnesses in front of other criminal justice. It's a little wild. It's a little wild. 100% believable. 100% believable, because when Crockett finally grabs Aleshi's shirt and asks him what this is about, he basically says that, you know, he got a little shaken up and little, you know, bruised coming into custody. And Crockett knows what that is. And Crockett is super pissed because if this deal falls through because of incorrect procedure during an arrest, the whole thing could fall through, and he's rightly pissed. So Rodriguez kind of breaks it up, but he does tell Alessi, the guy that beat up the other guy, that he will have to answer to eternal affairs. So that's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to see that you can't, in 1984, at least the message was that you shouldn't and you couldn't get away with this stuff. Then Tubbs and Rodriguez are talking, and that the suspects that they have in custody are Haitian, but they originally thought they were Jamaican. Rodriguez says, "What's the difference?" My note is rude. Haiti and Jamaica have completely different histories. Oh my God. Haiti was the first freed country in the Western Hemisphere. And Jamaica was a British colony. Haiti was a French colony that uprose and was the first slave rebellion in the Western Hemisphere to be successful. That is very rude. That is very rude. There's a very big difference. And the languages are different too. Oh my God. So yeah, this really grinded my gears, as they say. But we have good news from Lester, our favorite guy for plastics and sound. He has transferred and slowed down and basically kind of brushed up, finessed the tape to kind of get what the message was saying. And he really wants Crockett and Tubbs to listen to it. They actually blow him off. And good for Lester, he does not back down, and he basically guilts them into listening to it, and it's all good. But now here's the tape.
3 Jamaicans. 3 Jamaicans.
They may not have known the difference.
Red. Hell. Dorado. Red. Hell. Dorado.
Red Eldorado? They were driving a red Eldorado?
The Haitians claim they found the van this morning.
The Jamaicans dumped the van after our shootout and picked up a new car.
Homicide's got the wrong guys. Shooters are still at large, and Noogie's out there by himself. Yeah, Noogie? This is Tubbs. I got something I gotta tell you.
I got something to tell you, man. There's 3 dudes here that want to put that deal together. You hear me?
Yeah, these dudes are definitely just not there to hang out. I do appreciate the score, the kind of like bouncy, spooky island rhythm score that they got going on. I'm not sure of the proper name of it. I can look that up. But yeah, so actually now SWAT is having a preliminary meeting and rundown, talking about like who's going to do what's stationed. Crockett shuts down an idea to have a bullhorn because he knew that would be another death sentence for Noogie. So actually Crockett is really stepping up here. He's really trying to protect Noogie. He's kind of realizing that he might be responsible for getting him in this mess. And it's not just him, it's a whole chain of events. And actually, if it hadn't been for Lester, it might be a whole different story. So kudos to Lester. You get shit on one episode and then he's a hero the other. Now the scene cuts and we're at Noogie's apartment. We see Crockett pull up solo. Where could Tubbs be? So Crockett goes upstairs. They ask him about his partner and the money. Crockett asks to see the stuff, and they're not down with that. They want to see the money first. So one scary-looking dude in a vest goes down with Crockett to get the money from the car. And so they try to make conversation. He's not having it.
You know, you fellas ain't showing a great deal of good faith.
Why not shut up, boy?
Okay, it's right here in the trunk.
That sound you heard was Tubbs tasing the guy, taking his outfit, putting it on, and coming back in with Crockett. Again, like none of them would notice that this guy looks a little different. But to be fair, I guess that the guy has sunglasses on and so does Tubbs. So I guess that kind of helps, momentarily. But that's what I thought when I saw it. So like, this is not going to go right. They're going to recognize him. But who knows? We're not there yet. But so they start walking upstairs and there's a little flashback to Jake and Bobby laughing. And I can't get over that laugh. Like, hold on, do I have a clip of it?
Oh, by the way, Crockett, I made a reservation on my checking account this morning.
Yeah, well, it better be a withdrawal.
That was actually the show playing that laugh twice. It wasn't me. So they even know. They're like, what are these guys on? So they bust through the door. One guy starts using Noogie as a human shield. I did take a picture because Tubbs looks super handsome in his getup. Aside from the point. So Noogie is shot, but the paramedics end up coming. He's going to be okay. And then they get good news that Jake is out of his coma. So the next scene, a much happier scene taking place in the daytime. Everybody looks beautiful in stripes. Crockett and Tubbs are there to visit Jake. And then also they run into Noogie. So Noogie's coming out. He's meeting his girl. His girl's super cute. She has a very cute pink Mustang. And Crockett and Tubbs have a box of candy for him. And let's see how that goes in this next clip.
3 crazed Jamaicans, and you buy me a box of candy, and you think everything is cool? Let's see what kind of candy this is. Turtles? I hate turtles, man! You know what I'm saying?
Cannot relate. I love turtles. It is funny. I didn't realize that turtles got its notoriety from being a box of candy, like gifting, because I just kind of knew it. I think there was a Baskin-Robbins ice cream flavor or something with turtles, but it wasn't in the box. So I didn't realize that you could just give a box of turtles. They are better if you warm them up a little bit when the caramel's all melty. With my hands, you can see me doing like the rubbing motion. I could see myself in the mirror. Very tasty. But that's the end of the episode. Noogie goes off with his beautiful girl. Jake's getting out of surgery. Crockett and Tubbs look super handsome. Everybody looks great in stripes. All different types of stripes too. You got different thicknesses, different colors, different patterns, different directions. 10 out of 10. Whoever styled this last scene, 10 out of 10. And that's the episode. I need to find a good sound effect, like a bell, or like I like the Dia de Samero when the kids are going, yay! So I'll try to think of something fun. But yeah, let's run down my favorite outfits. For sure, no doubt about it, after hearing me go on about it. I'm not really good at like building up to the momentum of like, what's my favorite outfit? Very much wear my heart on my sleeve, but at least that's why I have the pictures. I have the gallery, so you can all see it there. It's in my fave 5. Tubbs in the bad guy getup. He just looks so good and handsome and stylish. And I also really loved Crockett with the silver blazer with the coral undershirt at the bar. I think he looked so handsome there. Coral is really, 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 really great for Don Johnson. Brings out his eyes, because on the color wheel that blue and orange are on the opposite ends, so they always recommend if you have blue eyes to kind of wear copper eyeshadow. And for this, they're just pairing it that beautifully tanned face, blue eyes, coral, some silver in there. Love it. And I needed to get a little intro thing for songs too. I think I almost found one, so I'll let you know. Hopefully by episode 4 we'll have this going, so it's not just like snooze town. My favorite song is the only song I can recognize, sorry, was the Jammin' cover. in the dance club. But I also kind of like that spooky score, that like island score. I wonder if they're just like, here you go, Jan Hammer, just do like spooky island score. He's like, I gotcha. If this sounds a little janky and out of context, it's because I had to delete what I said earlier. I could not read my own handwriting when I was naming off the songs. So now I will probably read you the songs. King Tubby Meets the Rockers Uptown was the opening song, and that's by Augustus Pablo. Feel the Spirit by the Wailing Souls. Reality Dub by Linton Kwesi Johnson. And actually, the spooky island music I was speaking of is actually called Cool Running, composed by Jan Hammer. Again, the Fave Five, the restaurant building, the Diagonal restaurant building, first one. Tubbs in the bad guy outfit, number 2. Number 3, if I remember correctly, is Gina and Crockett getting cocked blocked by his divorce papers because it's so cringy to me. Sigh. I have to stop ranting about this. Every episode is just going to be love advice for Gina. I also put a little picture in the Fast Five of the tiny little cassette. Advanced, again, this was 1984. There was actually advanced technology at the time. And then, of course, the last one is the pink Mustang. I had a Mustang for 13 years. Not as cute as hers, but very cute in my own right. It was candy apple red was the color, where hers is a matte pink, where mine had a little bit of shimmer, and it was like a really nice, not maroon, but it was like a really rich red. Goddamn, it was a beautiful car. But I think it lived through 7 winters and then 6 more years in California. So I got all the use I could out of it. And good night, sweet prince. I miss her all the time. But yeah, any Mustang will always take my heart and will always make it onto the Fast Five. Thank you so much for listening. Next week is fun because next week is Calderon's Return Part 1. It's going to be a really good episode. So I'm really excited to do that with you guys. Don't forget, you can check out everything I've mentioned picture-wise. You can always see that at the gallery at viceandeasypodcast.com. And don't forget, you can follow and view me and listen to me wherever you get your podcast. You can also listen on YouTube. Follow me on socials, Vice and Easy Podcast. So again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next Friday.
Hey man, Miami Wise is #1 new show.